Well, what do we have here? Another Muse Kit box? I do believe it is. If I even need to say this at this point, you guys know what I do with these. Muse Kits send me these boxes every single month for me to open up, show you guys what mystery supplies are inside, and then we're gonna make some cool art with them. This is how we always do it here. I'm sure you know this already, so let's just get right into cracking into this box. I don't even need to cut it open today. Let's see, what do we have here? I heard quite a bit of shaking, so I think there's quite a lot of loose items in here. What is this? There's just a random piece of what looks to be cardstock, and it's tiny. I hope this isn't important. Ooh, what do we have here? Do we have some watercolors this month? It appears we might have some paints. It looks like, it sure does look like watercolors. What is this? That's tiny. What is this? We have a lot of strange shapes this month, that's for sure. Do I want to peek in here yet? Why does it have a rubber top? It has a rubber top. What the heck? Do I even want to know? What is all this? I mean, this sure does look like watercolor. Should I just open up this weirdo? Should I just open him up or should I save him for last? He's the outlier. Maybe I should save him for last. Let's see. This is a candy. At least I know what this is. And then let's see. Here's the Muse Kits box for this month. That is a gorgeous sticker. That is really pretty. It looks like calligraphy of some kind. Are we doing some hand lettering this month? What are these? Graphics Aqua Ink Watercolor Ink. Ooh, I have used watercolor ink before. I have some leftover watercolor ink from another Muse Kits box that we did where we had a different brand of watercolor ink. These look quite pretty though. Looks like we have some fine liner brush pens, I'm guessing. I have some stuff in either kanji or romanji or something else like that on there. I'm not totally sure, but it looks like these might be brush pens of some kind, or at the very least dip pens. We have 3 bags of instant coffee crystals. I don't know what these are used for, unless we're going to be painting with coffee. Maybe we're painting with coffee. That could be fun. I really hope we're painting with coffee. And then here we have 12 Gopher Fiber Aqua watercolor pencils. Ooh, watercolor pencils. This is gonna be fun. I've used some watercolor pencils before. Then here we specifically have a tiny bottle of calligraphy ink. Okay, so then my guess is that these are in fact dip pens then. Let us see. We have our standard pair of brushes here. Very, very nice. I like those quite a lot. We have quite a variety of sizes there. Very nice. Should I go to the weirdo or should we do the paper? I trust the paper more. Hana Mule. Very nice. This is a very good brand of paper. I like this paper. It's also cold pressed, which means lots of texture. I'm just so curious about the little weirdo guy here. What is this? Is he just a tiny little palette? Is this all he is? What is this guy? Why is he shaped like that? I have so many questions about this little thing. I mean, it seems like it's just supposed to be a palette of some kind. Do these guys sit in it? I mean, these guys fit? Is that what it's used for? It clearly doesn't like stretch or anything. I'm so confused. What is this guy for? What does he do? Who is he? What is his purpose? I need to read the little zine and figure this out. What is this guy? Ooh, here we go. Ink and coffee. We are painting with ink and coffee. Ooh, this is definitely going to be breaking my traditional methods of painting. I've never painted with coffee before, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a long time. All right, let's see. And it appears that this guy is truly just a grid paint palette. That is what this says. It's a grid paint palette with a rubber cover, and the zine here is saying that apparently the lid is airtight, but it does not lock. It can come loose if it's placed upside down. Very good to know. It'll be interesting to see if this does truly keep paint wet. That's something I often struggle with gouache, so that'll be really interesting to try out and compare. Oh, hey, look at that. It's my little telephone head. I love that so much. It's so cute. All right, so we are going to be painting with coffee this time. This is going to be fun. I just want to jump right into it. This is going to be really fun. Okay, luckily enough for us, we do not have too many things that we need to swatch today, so this won't take too long. At least I hope it won't. Opening up our pencils, getting our little palette here. I'm going to stick the coffee packs right here. I'm going to have to test to see if I can do this without brewing them. Since again, I don't have a French press, so I'm gonna have to see what I can do. I'm really gonna hope that they'll just work with plain water. I'm really hoping. Since these are our primary method of writing, I think I'm just gonna start with these. I'm gonna make a little space for my hand here. I forget I'm a lefty sometimes. There we go, November Muse Kits. Let's see, let me write the brand name for this. Aoki calligraphy pen. All right, now let me test the other two. Oh, this one is very different. Ooh, this one is a lot sturdier. I like this one. I like it quite a lot. You can get a lot of control with this one. Okay, so the first one is definitely a lot softer tip. This one is extremely narrow and a lot sturdier, so I like that quite a bit. Then our last one is also smaller. I wonder if this one's a little bit softer because it looks slightly bigger. Yeah, this one's bigger and slightly softer than the middle one. I think out of the three, I prefer the second and the third just because the first is a little soft for my taste. Let's move straight into the watercolor pencils. Now we must test said watercolor pencils. That looks pretty nice. It lifts pretty well. Let me just move these coffee packs out of the way. Let's see how the brown looks. Brown always intrigues me a little bit. Ooh, it's nice and soft. Now I'm assuming this is a burnt sienna. I'm not reading the color names, I'm just guessing. I do quite like these browns though. I already have an idea of where I want to go with the piece, so I'm quite excited. So I'm trying to get through the swatching a little bit faster than usual. So I'm thinking like probably painting some sort of beautiful Asian pagoda of some kind or Asian architecture. That is definitely what I'm thinking of for this piece, is something with Asian architecture. Something that would really let me do a lot of expressive line work and have beautiful landscapes in the background. That's sort of what I'm thinking of, and I'm thinking that an Asian architecture piece would look really, really pretty with these materials, especially with the coffee as a background and as a wash in the back. I'm not a huge fan of those greens, so don't like them all that much. However, I do really like the browns. The browns are very, very nice. Okay, the red is a winner though. I like the red. Screw this pink, I love the red. I think this is gonna look much, much better as my yellow of choice. I'll probably, if I decide to incorporate any yellows into this whatsoever, I'm probably gonna use this because I can already tell this looks a lot more golden. Speaking of which, I should probably move on to swatching a couple of these. How do I get it out? How does it work? Oh, it is just open. Okay, that is just straight up open. But hey, it is quite the saturated color. That is nice. That is really pretty. There we go. That's the yellow I was talking about. Okay, I am 100% using this yellow. This is the top tier yellow. This is perfect. Golden yellow. That is perfect. That is the best. This is the yellow. It is the it yellow. Ooh, is this gonna stain the brush forever if I do this? Oh well. That's nowhere near as opaque as I thought it would be. It could just be that my brush is still wet. Hang on, let's see. Ooh, it dilutes pretty nicely. Okay, I can. There we go. See, I love using these splattery techniques, which is something that I'm definitely going to be doing in the final piece. I already have so many ideas for what I want to do for this piece. I've just been formulating ideas in my brain. I had a short break period in between opening the supplies and swatching them now, so I've had quite the amount of time to brainstorm different ideas, and my mind has been whirring with ideas. Now the only challenge left is the coffee. I'm gonna let that sit and I'm gonna see what sort of textures it makes, and I'm going to play around with the coffee. Not totally sure how much of this I'm gonna need. I am really scared. I don't want to waste too much of it because I want to make sure that this works, because this is the whole theme of the box. If I somehow waste this or it doesn't work, then what's even the point? Okay, we're using the large medicine dropper because I can't find my tiny one. Oh, hey, it looks like it works. It works. So I can just make it by mixing the water in. All right, that is excellent news. If any of you know me for my fantasy journal, you'll know exactly what I'm doing here. You guys have always known that an alternative to my fantasy journal method with watercolor is to just use coffee, and that is exactly what I'm doing here. You know, a piece I could quickly make is a map of my country, a map of my mushroom world. That could be pretty cool. Maybe I will make a map of my mushroom land, and I will also do the architecture painting. I want to see if it'll mix with the black at all. Whoa, look at the way it reacts with the coffee. That is so cool. Look at that. Oh, you can barely see it on camera. Look at that. It's just spreading. Oh, that's cool. That is a completely different reaction from what I was expecting. Look at the way it just spreads. Dude, that is incredible. Whoa. I'm in shock. I'm amazed right now. Look at that. Oh, I could sit here doing this for hours. This is mesmerizing to watch. Well, I've become hyper fixated on this. It looks so veiny. It looks just like trees. Oh, it's so cool. This is awesome. Oh my god. This effect is so cool. Man, I wish I had gotten that on film for the TikTok. I'm gonna have to record some sections in the TikTok of me just doing that, because that looks really cool. See, if I tap it down there on the left, look at the way it just starts fanning out and spreading and creating all these beautiful little textures. They're almost like snowflakes. You have to zoom in to see this. You have to take a look at this. Look at that. Look at the way it's moving. That is so cool. It appears to work best when the paint is still rather wet, so let me move it right here. Let's just let it go and see what happens. Look at that. Look at it move. That is incredible. Wow, just wow. This is so cool. This may be one of the coolest things I've seen in forever. It is so cool. It is so insanely cool. I'm just watching it. It is just fascinating to see the way it reacts with the coffee. Jeez, that is amazing. Okay, I'm using that. I'm stealing that. I am using that. I am using this in my work. I am using it because it is very, very cool. Jeez, that looks so cool. It looks so cool. Okay, I know what I'm doing now. I know exactly what I am doing now. Okay, let's see if this kept the coffee wet. Ooh, it did. It did. Okay, so it does have some truth to it. Some of it may have evaporated just the tiniest bit, but I'm sure that's fine. I want to use the big brush, so let's do that. I'm not going to do a wet on wet. I think I'm going to start with just wet on dry. All right, let's start by just laying down the coffee all over the place. It's okay if it looks uneven. That's how I want it to look. It smells really good. And now I'm just going to flick water all over it for the time being, just to get those really cool textures that I absolutely love. I do the same thing in my fantasy journal, so this is a process that you guys should be pretty familiar with seeing me do. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm flicking the actual like coffee paint onto there just to give it some more dimension and some more levels, just to give it a lot more depth. I think I'm gonna need to make a little bit more. It smells so good. I want to drink it. It tastes so, I want to drink it. It smells like it would taste incredible. Now I'm just gonna spread it out in some areas. This is my favorite part about the process of making stuff like this, is that the paint, or the coffee in this instance, just does whatever it wants. You don't really have that much control over it, and I love that aspect of not being able to really do anything about it. You can't be over controlling with this. Now I'm gonna wait for this to dry for just a minute, and then I'm going to go in and add a little bit more darker tones just around here once it's dry. Right now it can't really pick those up because it's so wet, and then after that I'm gonna go over it with a layer of water again, and then I'm gonna add the black. Okay, look, I don't have a hair dryer because I have short hair, so I'm just going to risk it and go in with the darker now. Look at that. It's so textured. I love it. I love it. I can't wait to show you all this once it dries. I'm just gonna stop the recording here and wait until it's dry so I can add more. Okay, I'm just so curious to see what happens. I don't want to wait for it to fully dry. I need to know what happens. Okay, nothing is happening this time. Wait a minute, how come nothing is happening? Is there a reason nothing is happening? Shouldn't something be happening here? Now, how come it's not doing the same thing like it did last time? Do you think it's not wet enough, maybe? Now, why did it only happen on the swatches? Oh, there we go. It's happening a little bit there. Maybe we just need to get it wetter. Then maybe it'll start to do stuff. Odd, very odd. The ink is also appearing a lot more watered down in some areas. Like now it's not doing the spready thing at all. That is so weird. How come it's not doing it now? It does it right there, but how come it's not doing it anywhere else? Is it because the paper is buckling perhaps? I wonder if it has something to do with the paper buckling. I guess I'll just force it to do the stuff myself then. I'm not upset with this though. I like the way it looks. It looks quite cool. Okay, it's dried, and as it was drying there were a couple little spots right over here where it did the cool spreading out texture thingy, but it didn't do it in a lot of places, but I'm fine with it this way. I'm just gonna get started on drawing the map. And at first I considered, hey, maybe I could try combining all of my different lands that are in my fantasy journal from my mushroom world. Maybe I could try combining them all into one thing and making one giant map of the world. But then I remembered there's a whole bunch of other lands I still have to make that I have not created maps for yet. So that's not exactly the best idea. Plus I haven't quite figured out the topography for everything yet, so there is that as well that I need to figure out. Once I've developed all the lands, then I can figure out an actual full world map. So right now I'm just gonna draw a random map. I'm just gonna let my hand control everything. I don't care too much about the shape. Could have it come up this way, and this area can go like this, and we could have another island here on the right, or we could have it be more Gulf style like this. I like that. Let's do that. Okay, maybe just one more right here too. And I'm just gonna add my little lines. I like to do this on the inside of my maps. I like to add these little lines. They don't really mean much of anything. They just add more dimension to the map. It's just a little personal touch that I like to do. I tend to be a lot more lighter handed when I'm making these marks, just because I don't want them to be solid lines. I want them to be very light handed. I want the pen to come off the paper. I want it to lift. I want it to be random and out of control. I want it to look like the pen doesn't have enough ink. I want it to look like the pen is drying out. Alright, usually the next thing I add afterwards is stuff like rivers. These are just really thin lines that I put across the page. and make them very windy and come all the way down. All right, then the next thing I usually add is a mountain range. Now I think a good place for some mountains could be right here. So I'm just gonna sketch out my little mountains first. Add some very simple shading to the mountain. I'm just gonna add a few more mountains down here and one lonely mountain right here. I'm debating what else I should add. Oh, I could add some lakes. Totally forgot about lakes for a moment. Then we can add a smaller lake up here. I'm gonna curve the lines just to give it a different effect so people can tell it's something different. There we go, we have a little volcano. Now something else I usually add is giant mushrooms, but I'm not totally sure if I want to do that for this one because this isn't necessarily of my mushroom world. I could just add some areas where there's really large trees. Do I want to add a third tree? I'm debating it. Just fill this whole area up with trees. This is more like a savanna flatlands texture that I'm adding here. Just very simple, like not straight, somewhat curvy lines. They need to be straight enough so that way they're not interpreted as hills, but these are more like, they can be interpreted as like savanna areas or flat areas or fields. They could be like massive expanses of farmland. They can really be interpreted however you want. I'd like to see them as farmland. And not every single space needs to be filled. Like I could do little grassy patches throughout these little empty areas, but not every single space needs to have something in it. You don't want it to look too crowded. I'm debating adding a little bit more texture. Like, I don't know, I feel like a little bit more texture could be cool, but I don't want to overcrowd it all that much. And I'm not sure I want to do a black outline around the black area either. You know what I could do is I could add tiny little spirals just to try to symbolize water. Well, dang, this is gonna take forever, isn't it? Okay, now that I'm seeing it start to fill out more space, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It doesn't make it look too crowded. It's just adding a little something extra. I think it being small spirals also helps a little bit as well. Dang, we're not even a quarter of the way there yet. Jeez, I've been sitting here for almost 10 minutes. I finished the 2 corners, but now I have over half of the rest of it left to do. Dear God, I think I finally finished. Jeez, that took forever. It looks really cool, but I do not want to do that again. Okay, I know I said I wasn't going to do voiceover mode for this part of the video because I didn't want to, but I changed my mind. I do, because this took me a while to make and I was way too focused to do a live commentary. So this is where I finally moved on to the piece I was describing earlier in the video about doing some sort of Asian style building or architecture piece where I was painting some sort of beautiful building. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go with a pagoda or just some sort of Asian style building, and ultimately I decided to go with the Asian style building idea, but something I added in that I hadn't thought of before was doing a lot of really cool Asian style printmaking techniques and patterns. That is something I find really cool and really intriguing. So when I was making this piece, I wanted to make it a little less on the realistic side and a little bit more on the printmaking side. So this piece ended up having really bright, bold, beautiful colors as well as really bold, beautiful line work. I ended up going with a much less realistic look in this way when I did the line art, making sure the mountains had all these really cool textures and lines, making sure the clouds were all these really cool swirly, spirally textures, having this dark outline at the bottom of the clouds. I just think it looks really, really cool. I added this extra pop of line art to the building just to make it look a little bit better and stand out a little bit more. I also added those beautiful little red flowers just to tie the piece together, and I painted this pretty little lady with one of those beautiful little parasols just entering or approaching this building. Her perspective is a little off, I will admit that, but I do think the piece looks really, really cool in the end. I'm really happy with the way it looks. I think it looks it definitely does match that more printmaking style I was going to go for, and I do really like it. I think what I might do is, while I will have this one up in my shop, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the original piece up as a version in my shop, and then once I have free time, I'm also going to make a digital version of this piece where I do the line art a lot more diligently and slowly, make it look a lot more fine-tuned and a lot more cutting edge, basically just look a lot cleaner and more coherent, so that way it looks like a real screen print. And I think I'll have a version that's black and white, just like a real block print would. And I think I'm also going to have a version where it has a lot more colors, where I basically use the exact same colors from this piece, but I add them as basically a layer that would go underneath all the line art like a real print would. Basically the way that Asian printmaking works is you make different blocks for each color. So if I were doing a piece that had, say, 3 colors, there would be 1 block for the red, 1 block for the brownish of the coffee tones, and then 1 color for the black lines. And hey, if I can recreate that digitally, that would be quite cool. I don't have the time for it now, but it's definitely something I would like to do with this piece because I do really like the way it looks, and I'd like to bring it into the digital realm to make it look even cooler, especially with all the really cool textures and patterns that I'm playing with in this piece. But this is what it ended up looking like in the end, and I think it looks very good. I'm very happy with it, and I absolutely love it. Boy, oh boy, am I happy with how this piece turned out. Look at that. I'm still not the best at architectural drawing when it comes to drawing stuff like this, like super highly detailed buildings and stuff like that. My reference wasn't overly detailed either, but it's not a complete match. I did my best to replicate it though in the style that I was going for. I was really thinking more like Asian printmaking style stuff with different textures and patterns and stuff like that, different types of line work. That's what I really wanted to try with this, and I feel like I did execute it pretty well. These brush pens are also amazing. I've never seen a brush pen that works on pencil so well. I have never seen a fine liner work this well on top of pencil ever in my life. It's incredible. But here we go. We have the two different types of artwork. We have my more fantasy journal style map here that I did with just the coffee and the fine liners with a little bit of the black ink. Then I have this one that's more in the traditional printmaking style with all the different colors, the pencils, the coffee, and all of the ink pens together. It just worked really, really well. Two different things with totally different effects, slightly different styles. They both look really cool and I'm really, really happy with them. Alright, we have once again reached the end of the video. As always, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you once again to Muse Kits for sending me this amazing box. I have never painted with coffee before, so this was super fun. Another medium that I've never tried before and got to play around with. As always, you can like, comment, and subscribe. As always, if you liked the video, you can like, comment, and subscribe if you feel so inclined. The support for my channel lately has been absolutely incredible, so thank you so much and welcome to all the new people here. I know there's a lot of new people here, so welcome to the tiny channel. As always, my shop link is in my bio, and I'll probably put both of these up in my shop as prints. Probably end up putting this one on some stickers or something like that as well. Make them available as t-shirt designs just because I do think this one is quite pretty. I would wear it as a t-shirt, honestly. I love it. All of the links and all of the things are in my description, so I'm just gonna end the video here, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.